I'm Erin Burnett. Out front tonight, Herman Cain, the GOP frontrunner fighting back against allegations of sexual harassment.
I absolutely reject. They simply didn't happen. They simply did not happen.
4 women have now accused the GOP candidate of inappropriate behavior, and we now know the identity of 2. Just hours ago, we learned more about another accuser. Her name is Karen Kraushaar. She is a director of communications at the Treasury Department. And according to a friend and former boss, she called Cain a quote-unquote monster. Now, we want to note this is the woman whose lawyer told the nation on Friday that his client did not want to identify herself and did not want to divulge any details about the alleged encounter. But obviously, she is saying now that she would do so, perhaps with other people, do a press conference. Niger Innis is friend of Herman Cain, unofficial advisor to his campaign. He's also the national spokesman for the Congress of Racial Equality. And Niger, I appreciate your taking the time to come out and talk about this tonight. I just want to ask you this, just a point-blank question. Have you at the campaign had the conversation, middle of the night, everyone's eyes are bloodshot, where you say, Herman, have you put everything on the table? Have you told us everything, absolutely everything, kind of a come-to-Jesus moment?
I've not had that conversation with Herman. I'm certain that others within the campaign have had that conversation with him, probably before the campaign even got kicked off. So, but I think, yeah, you know, Erin, and go ahead. I was just going to say that I think what a wonderful moment. I mean, it's strange to say this on a day like today, but I'm very, very proud to be an American. Here you have an African-American man from the South, the grandson, grew up in segregation, the grandson or great-grandson of slaves, being accused of not sexual harassment. He's accused of sexual molestation. He's accused of assault, or at least it's right on the border of assault. With Miss
Bialik, you're referring to.
That's right. And it's only a few decades ago that in many parts of the South, a black man that is accused of something like that would be tried in the streets and be convicted on a tree. And nevertheless, today, he was defended quite articulately by Mr. Lynn, I believe his name is, who's a prominent white Southern attorney. That imagery was a powerful imagery, and that imagery is the imagery of unification that Herman Cain brings to this campaign. And I must tell you that there are a lot of folk within the elite, conservatives and liberals, that are terrified of that image in this campaign.
Let me ask you this, though, because when you talk about the image of hanging of the tree, okay, that's an incredibly upsetting image to a lot of people. And do you really want to go that far? Are you going so far as to say this truly is that racially motivated?
Well, I will say this. Look, first of all, Erin, you probably know my history and my father's history in the Congress for Racial Equality. We don't play the race card. That's not our game. In fact, we tend to take the race card off the table when it is unfairly used. But having said that, there's no question we have to be a fool to deny 200 years of history in our country. And one of the most powerful stereotypes that unfortunately this whole situation conjures up is the stereotype of a black-skinned black man being overly sexed and sexually going after or having some sexual hunger for a white woman. Now, what I think is interesting, though, is that Mr. Cain's character assassins, and that's what I call them, including Miss Bialik, the assassins underestimate the decency of the American people. They don't realize that what I saw on that stage today is a symbol of America turning the page largely on the question of race within our country.
I'm confused. Okay,
yeah,
I hear you on that point, and I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people applaud the Herman Cain campaign in terms of his becoming a candidate at all. But when you say that we can't get beyond the whole issue of a black male and a white woman, isn't perhaps these women coming forward in this modern time proof that we are beyond that? That this isn't about the hypersexualized black male. It's about a woman telling her side of the story and a man telling his, and that it isn't about race at all. Because it does sound like you're making it about race.
Well, what I am saying is this. I'm saying the way that the media is treating this case, there is a hypocrisy. There is a hypocrisy and a double standard for conservatives vis-a-vis Bill Clinton that had a variety of charges, and not alleged charges of making people feel uncomfortable or alleged charges of something happening in a car, but things such as rape. And John Edwards, the whole John Edwards issue had to be broken not by the establishment mainstream media, but by the National Enquirer. So there certainly is a double standard, and there is a scrutiny that I would argue that black conservatives like Justice Thomas, like Herman Cain, are under that others are not under. There's no question that the type of rallying that the black liberal establishment, the race mongers that tend to defend all types of individuals, including criminals, that they did not rally to Herman Cain's defense. There's a hypocrisy there. There is a willingness for certain liberals on another network to cast dispersions at Herman Cain, at his intelligence. This idiot Bashir actually saying he doesn't know how to spell Iraq. These kinds of things, yes, I say are hypocritical.
Well, I don't know what you're referring to there at all. But I do want to say there was one thing you said there. I think the John Edwards point. The John Edwards point, sure, I think, is an interesting one, and you do have a point there about how that happened. But let me ask you this: you've known Herman Cain for just a few years. How do you know that this didn't happen? How can you come on so dramatically here and defend him when, by at least the information I have, you didn't know him well at the time these allegations happened?
That's fair. I've known of Herman Cain and met him over a 10-year period, but I've only personally gotten to know him for over the last few years. And you're right. There's no question. You were not there. I was not there.
That's right.
99.999% of all Americans or people on the planet don't know exactly what occurred there. So we can only look at what is before us and make our judgments. And if you look at Ms. Belek's press conference, and you look at her weird and bizarre behavior of not only her, but of Gloria Allred. And by the way, I know Gloria. I like Gloria personally.
You
but
do?
She is the poster. Okay. I like her personally. I don't like what she does. I don't like her profession, the way she pursues her profession. I think she is the poster child for why we need dramatic, radical tort reform and things like loser pays in these tort cases. But no, I know her personally, but I also know her game, and I don't like her game. But in doing an analysis of Ms. Belek's statement and how she made her statement, and Gloria Allred saying this is a stimulus package, and Ms. Belek saying,
I agree with you.
Well,
I thought that was distasteful. I agree on the stimulus package.
But and then Ms. Belek's saying she went home to her boyfriend, but she didn't tell him any details.
Okay, let me ask you, I want to follow up on that point, because I also thought that was unusual that she would have shared with someone. But then I started thinking about experiences I've had, or experiences women that I know have had, and sexual harassment at work parties or people out at drinks, it's common. Women often do feel guilty or awkward. In a sense, it's sort of like how the race issue is for you, which is it's there, but it's not there. For a lot of women, I think the sexism issue is there, but it's not there. Is that something you can understand?
I can definitely understand it, and more than understand it, I empathize with it. And what I say, and I want to be consistent here, the way that I address those who put the race card on the issue unfairly and how it undermines legitimate cases and examples of racism, how it undermines and disrespects those ancestors of ours that truly had to overcome racism. I say that for sexual harassment as well. When you have a fraudulent charge, and let me say for the record, I believe these are fraudulent charges by Ms. Belek. If I was Herman, I'm going to talk to Herman later tonight. I'm going to suggest to Herman that he sue her for defamation of his character, and I believe she's a fake, phony fraud. But having said that, and I think if she is a fake, then it does a terrible disservice to real victims of sexual harassment. It does a terrible disservice to women out there that really are victims and feel terrorized.
I would agree. And if it ends up being true, I know that hopefully you will come on and amend some of your statements.
You better believe it, Erin.
All right.
You better
thank you, Niger. I appreciate it. And thank you for having a frank interview with me. Appreciate it.